On September 15, 2017, the spacecraft Cassini-Huygens ended its mission the only way it could, by diving into Saturn. It was called the grand finale. A controlled descent. A deliberate end. For 13 years, Cassini had orbited Saturn, sending back some of the most breathtaking discoveries in human history. The perfect hexagon storm at the North Pole, the icy geysers erupting from Enceladus, the methane seas of Titan. By the time it made its final plunge, scientists believed the mission was complete. Every image catalogued. Every signal analyzed. Every mystery archived. But they were wrong. Because hidden inside Cassini's final transmissions was something no one noticed. Not in 2017. Not in the years that followed. It wasn't obvious. It wasn't dramatic. It didn't look like anything at all. Until 2025. The rediscovery in 2025, a private research group revisited Cassini's final data, but with a different tool. Not a telescope. Not a human eye. A next-generation artificial intelligence. Its purpose was simple: enhance old space images. Remove noise. Reveal hidden detail. But what it found wasn't just clearer data. It found structure. At first, the system flagged minor irregularities, pixel clusters that didn't behave like atmospheric noise. Subtle distortions. Repeating alignments. Normally, these would be dismissed. Compression artifacts. Sensor interference. Random chance. But the AI didn't dismiss them. It tracked them. Across multiple images. Across different time stamps. Across different angles. And that's when things change. The pattern, the anomalies weren't random. They were consistent. Same spacing. Same geometry. Same repetition. Not just once, but again, and again, and again. Now here's the problem. Saturn's atmosphere is chaotic. Violent. Unpredictable. Storms rage for years. Winds exceed 1,800 kilometers per hour. Cloud layers constantly shift and distort. In that kind of environment, perfect structure should not exist. But this wasn't just structure. It was organized. The first doubt, naturally, researchers assumed the AI was making a mistake. Pattern hallucination. A known issue in advanced systems. So they tested it. They fed the AI randomized image sets. It found nothing. They fed it images from Jupiter. Nothing. They returned to Cassini's final data. The pattern came back. Exactly the same. That's when the question changed from, "Is this real?" to, "What is this?" The numerical signal as analysis deepened, something even stranger appeared. The shapes weren't just geometric. They were mathematical. Hidden within pixel distributions were prime number sequences, Fibonacci ratios, golden ratio alignments, not approximations. Not loose similarities. Precise. Now think about that for a second. These are not random numbers. These are universal constants. The same mathematical language humans have proposed using to communicate with extraterrestrial intelligence. Like the famous Voyager golden record. Except this time, the signal wasn't being sent. It appeared to be received. The implication, if true, this changes everything. Because it suggests something extraordinary. Cassini didn't just observe Saturn. It may have recorded something that was already there. Something embedded within the planet's atmosphere. Something that knew how to be seen, only when we had the tools to see it. The final descent, Cassini's last moments, were chaotic. As it plunged deeper into Saturn's atmosphere, it began transmitting rapidly, image after image after image. The final sequence was supposed to contain 12 frames. But only 11 were ever recovered. At the time, this was dismissed as transmission loss. But the 2025 analysis tells a different story. The missing frame was never decoded. Not corrupted. Not lost. Locked. The locked image. When researchers went back to the raw data stream, they found it. The 12th packet was there. Intact. But its contents were scrambled in a way no system could interpret. Not random noise. Not damage. Structured encryption. Something had changed the data itself. And here's the unsettling part. None of Cassini's onboard systems were capable of doing that. The turning point at this moment, the investigation stopped being routine. Because now there were only two possibilities. Either, we are misunderstanding the data completely, or, Cassini recorded something that interacted with it. Chapter 11. Saturn was never normal. Long before Cassini-Huygens ever arrived, Saturn was already a problem. Not visually. Not artistically. Scientifically. Because Saturn doesn't behave like it should. It emits more heat than it receives from the Sun. Its magnetic field is almost perfectly aligned with its axis, something no other known planet does. And then there's the storm. Chapter 12. The hexagon at Saturn's north pole exists, something that should not exist. Saturn's hexagon, a perfect six-sided storm. Not approximate. Not distorted. Perfect. 7. It has remained stable for decades. Possibly centuries. Now here's the problem. Fluid dynamics, the physics governing gases, does not naturally produce perfect geometric shapes like this at planetary scale. Not without very specific, controlled conditions. So scientists explained it as a rare standing wave. A resonance pattern. A coincidence. But after the Cassini image analysis, that explanation started to feel incomplete. Chapter 13. Patterns inside patterns. When the AI mapped the anomalies from Cassini's final images, something unexpected happened. The geometric signals aligned with Saturn's hexagon. Not randomly. Precisely. Certain numerical sequences corresponded to the hexagon's edges, its internal flow patterns, its rotational symmetry, as if the storm itself was part of a larger system. Chapter 14. The field connection. Then came another layer. Saturn's magnetic field. Unlike Earth's tilted magnetic axis, Saturn's is almost perfectly straight. That shouldn't happen. Because magnetic fields are generated by chaotic motion inside planets. They wobble. They drift. Saturn's doesn't. It's stable. Too stable. And when researchers overlaid magnetic field data with the decoded patterns, they found something unsettling. The signals clustered around magnetic anomalies. Points where instruments historically struggled. Points where readings behaved unpredictably. Almost like interference. Chapter 15. The lens effect. As Cassini descended deeper, the AI reconstruction revealed something even stranger. The patterns weren't just flat. They had depth. Like a distortion in space. Not a solid object. Not a cloud. More like a field. A region where light behaved differently. Images passing through it warped slightly. Repeated. Echoed. Like looking through an invisible lens. Chapter 16. Not an object, and that's when the interpretation changed completely. Because whatever Cassini recorded wasn't a thing. It wasn't a ship. It wasn't a structure. It was something else. A presence. Not defined by edges, but by influence. Chapter 17. The behavior. The deeper Cassini went, the clearer the patterns became. That alone is strange. Because atmospheric interference should increase with depth, not decrease. But instead of fading, the signal intensified. Became sharper. More structured. Until, in the final usable frame, it reached peak clarity. And then, it disappeared. Chapter 18. The vanishing point. Gone. Not gradually. Not fading. Instantly. As if it moved, it shut down, or it chose not to be seen, and that moment aligns exactly with Cassini entering the lower atmospheric threshold. A region where pressure spikes. Where visibility collapses. Where no further clear imaging is possible. Convenient. Too convenient. Chapter 19. The timing problem. If this was random, why did it appear, gradually reach peak clarity, then vanish at the exact moment observation became impossible? That's not noise. That's timing. Chapter 20. The intelligence question. Now we reach the line scientists are careful not to cross. Because once you say it, you can't unsay it. If a pattern is consistent, it follows mathematical rules, it interacts with observation conditions, then it raises a possibility. Is it intentional? Chapter 21. The silent language. There were no radio signals. No pulses. No transmissions. Just math. But math is universal. Prime numbers. Ratios. Symmetry. These are not human inventions. They are the closest thing to a shared language the universe has. And if something wanted to communicate, without being obvious, this is exactly